Hare Krishna, everyone. Then with pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. We are reading Bhagavad Gita, chapter 12, the devotional service. Let's start with Mangla Charan. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Sripadakamlam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Srirupam Sagrajatam Sagrana Raghunatam Vitam Satam Sadvaitam Sadutam Parichanam Krishna Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sagalala Shri Vishakhan He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Krishnabhanu Devi Pranamami Hariye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa
कृपासिन्धुभयेव च पतितानां
पावनेभ्यो
पावनेभ्यो
वैष्णवेभ्यो
नमो
नमो नमः
नमः।
जय श्री कृष्ण
श्रीकृष्ण
चैतन्य
चैतन्य
प्रभु
प्रभु नित्यानन्द
नित्यानंद
श्री
श्री
अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृन्द। हरे
हरे
कृष्णा
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 हरे
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 हरे राम 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 हरे
हरे
हरे।
हरे नमो
नमो
विष्णुपादाय
विष्णुपादाय कृष्णापृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमति भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी
इति
इति
नामिने
नामिने।
नमस्ते सरस्वती
नमस्ते
देवे
सरस्वती देवे
गौरवाणी
गौरवाणी
प्रचारिणे
प्रचारिणे
निर्विशेषा
निर्विशेषा
शून्यवादी
शून्यवादी
पाश्चात्य
पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे।
देशतारिणे मूकं करोति
मुखं करोति
वाचालं
वाचालं
पङ्गुं
पङ्गुं
लङ्घयते
लङ्घायते
गिरिं
गिरिं
यत्कृपातमहं
यत्कृपातमहं
वन्दे
वन्दे
श्रीगुरुं
दीनतारिणं
दीनतारणं परमानन्दमाधवं
परमानन्दमाधवं कृष्णचैतन्य
कृष्णचैतन्यईश्वरम्
ईश्वरम्।
गुरुवे
गुरुवे
गौरचन्द्राय
गौरचन्द्राय
राधिकाय
राधिकाय
तदालये
तदालये
कृष्णाय
कृष्णाय कृष्णभक्ताय
कृष्णभक्ताय
तद्भक्ताय
तद्भक्ताय
नमो
नमो
नमः।
नमः
हरे कृष्णा।
Krishna Hari Bol. Okay, so looks like a lot of devotees are not here today. One second, sorry. So I know that Anita Mataji is traveling and then a couple other people are missing, but hopefully we'll try to cover as much of chapter 12 as possible today. You know, this is our last chapter in the Bhakti Yoga series, started from chapter 7, right? So let me pull it up on the screen. And we are done with the hard part of the chapter 12, the difficult verses, which were 12.8 to 12, that were very, difficult to understand, little complicated. But in the end, and I think everybody understood the essence that, and as you understand this, the name of this chapter is Bhakti Yoga, right? So Krishna has established conclusively by the end of this chapter that Bhakti Yoga is supreme. So actually by end of verse 12.12, he's establishing that those who fix their mind and intelligence in me are the most supreme. And by mind and intelligence, we mean that they're completely absorbed in my meditation, he says, or in my dhyan, right? Uh, and those are the supreme devotees. Those are the best kind. So he started in a progressive manner from 12.8 going to 12.11, and in 12.12 he just rounds off everything. So, um, so, and then the initial verses, we know that Arjun had asked him, what is better? Is it impersonal meditation better than the bhakti yoga? And Krishna established that impersonal can be a tough path to follow, but bhakti is a more direct path. It is easier path, right? Whereas the other path, impersonal path, can be harder and full of kleshas or struggles and distress actually, and maybe have more fall downs on that path. And then we did a series of progression where he says, okay, the best is for you to absorb your mind in me. If you can't do that, then you absorb your intelligence in me. If you can't do that, then you engage all your senses in working for me. If you can't do that, I'm sorry, not working. If you can't do that, then you follow the regulative principles of bhakti yoga and try to discipline yourself. And then you can't even do that, then you try to use your senses and working for me. Just try to work for me, Nishkam Karma Yoga. And if you can't even do that, then at least give some fruits of your activities, of your work to me. So in this way, he gave a whole progression. So we have to see where we are, and we understand that we are at the 12.9 verse, where we are trying to fix our mind and intelligence by following the regulative principles of Bhakti Yoga, right? By following a disciplinary process, that we have to wake up in the morning, we have to chant, we have to eat prasadam, we have to associate more and more with devotees, we have to make a routine to read Bhagavad Gita or Srimad Bhagavatam, we have to try to follow the 9 processes of devotional service as much as possible. When we speak about Krishna or Harikatha. When we hear, we try to hear more and more about Krishna and his instructions, or from his devotees. So about him and about his devotees mostly, right? So all the 9 limbs or processes of devotional service we try to follow. So this is a very disciplinary process for us. It does not come to us spontaneously. It's something we are right now sort of forcing ourselves to. Like senses want to still eat outside, right? We want, or eat something that is not offered to Krishna, but we're forcing ourselves as much as possible eat prasadam, or we don't feel like chanting, but we just discipline ourselves. I'm going to get up and try to do this many rounds every day, right? We try to negotiate with ourselves. Okay, today I'll maybe just do 4 rounds or just 8 rounds, So we're trying to discipline ourselves. It's not a spontaneous process. So we are not at the level of 12.8 verse where it is a spontaneous process. It's Raganuga Bhakti, like those of our spiritual masters like Prabhupada or Prabhupada's disciples, right? Can anybody name any of the kids, or anybody, actually, anybody, name any of the disciples of Prabhupada that you know of? Yes, Avni.
Radhanath Swami Maharaj.
Yeah. So whenever we say the name of those that are sannyasis, we say His Holiness. Okay. So for sannyasis, we say His Holiness. For other people that are Vaishnavas, for example, let's say Shubhilas Prabhu or Amoglila Prabhu, right? They're not sannyasis, right? So we say His Grace, right? They are initiated, but they're not sannyasis. They may be brahmacharis, they may be grastas, but they're not sannyasis. So we say His Grace. Okay. So just a nice address, because just like we say sir, madam, in Vaishnav community we have these nice addresses. So we say His Holiness. And for Prabhupada, what address do we use? Who would say? Who will?
His Divine Grace.
Yeah, His Divine Grace is used for Prabhupada, right? For sannyasis, His Holiness. Okay, what other spiritual masters or disciples of Prabhupada we know of?
Bhakti
His,
Yosami.
His Holiness Jayapataka Maharaj,
Yes, Jayapataka
His
Maharaj.
Holiness Bhakti Charu Maharaj,
Yes, Bhakti Swami Maharaj, who left his body last year after COVID, right? Okay, who else? Yes, Avni or Sheetal Mataji is sharing.
His Holiness Ramya Prabhu.
So Mataji, for he's not a sannyasi, so we'll say His Grace, right?
Okay, His Grace.
Yeah.
Ramya
Yeah.
Prabhu and Vaisheshika Prabhu.
Yeah, same thing. His Grace, Vaisheshika. Just, I mean, it's not that important, but just in Vaishnav community, something new to learn. Okay, is Avni sharing something else? Okay, I think, yeah, those are some, most of the spiritual masters. I mean, there are so many, right? So many disciples of Prabhupada that but these are the ones that are teaching and preaching a lot. And His Grace Vaisheshika Prabhu, actually, this MSF is his endeavor. It's his initiative, monthly Sankirtan festival. So he's known as he's the founding. principal, founding father of this monthly Sankirtan festival on the instruction of Prabhupada. Okay. All right. So let's continue. So those people, I just wanted those names because these spiritual masters, these people, imagine those that have dedicated their lives to propagating the scriptural knowledge, to propagating the Vedic knowledge or the names, pastimes, qualities of Krishna. They have sacrificed their life for this purpose, right? They don't, they are, some of them are sannyasi, some of them are brahmachari, some of them are maybe grastas, but very, very actively propagating the Vedic knowledge, right? So they have given their life for this cause. So they are not doing it out of force. They are not following any disciplinary or regulative process like us. They are doing more out of love for Krishna or for Prabhupada. They are able to spontaneously fix their mind and intelligence on Krishna. They don't have to be told, can you do this service? They take up services eagerly. They are looking for services all the time. They're looking to chant. You know, if you look at all this, like Moglila Prabhu was sharing about his guru one time, Gopal Krishna, His Holiness Gopal Krishna Maharaj, that spontaneously his hand keeps going inside the chanting bag and he starts chanting. So they're chanting all the time. They're not just chanting 16 rounds. They're chanting all the time. So that is a spontaneous fixing of mind and intelligence on Krishna, which Krishna wants. Okay. So in this way, Krishna says that that kind of devotee or that kind of bhakti is the best kind. That kind of surrender is what he wants. And now what we are reading today is that part clear before we go further? Because now, is that okay? That kind of meditation, that kind of spontaneous, consuming your mind completely in Krishna is what Krishna is asking for. We are not at that level, but we are training ourselves, right? We are practicing. That is why it is called Abhyas Yog or Abhyas Rupa Bhakti. So with practice, we are training ourselves to detach from the material world and attach more and more to Krishna. So it is a struggle right now to do that, but we are hoping we'll come to that platform when we will have so much taste that we won't have to discipline ourselves, that we will be able to spontaneously do this. Somebody mentions chanting, we won't be like, oh no, to chant again. It'll be like, oh yes, yes, let's chant. Two services are given. One is go watch a movie, and the other service is go to the temple and hear from such and such guru, right? So you'll choose going to the temple. So those things we'll start relishing those things. We'll start relishing all the Krishna conscious activities and develop taste for them, spontaneously start doing them. So that's the platform we're trying to come to. And now from 12.13 onwards to 20, Krishna once established the Bhakti Yoga's supremacy. Now he's saying what are the qualities of such a devotee. So that devotee he mentioned in 12.8, whose mind and intelligence is spontaneously fixed on me, who has attachment to me, who has desire to come to me, that devotee, what are his qualities? That such a devotee is called Uttamadhikari, the top class, the first class devotee, Uttamadhikari, right? And then there is Madhyamadhikari, the middle class, medium devotee, and then comes the lowest level, Kanishta Adhikari. Kanishta is the lowest platform where we are starting to explore Krishna consciousness, starting to struggle with it, right? So we are one foot in the material world, one foot in the spiritual world. That is the level of Kanishta Adhikari. Madhyam Adhikari is solidly situated on the spiritual platform, but he's not not at the highest level yet, right? But it's very difficult to for him to have a fall down. Those Madhyam Adhikaris are the ones that are preaching a lot in temples, and they take the services of preaching and spreading the instructions of Krishna. And the Uttam Adhikaris are the ones that are in complete love or Krishna Prema, Krishna Bhav, and those are Uttam Adhikaris. So the top class devotee, and this is their qualities. So let's read about those. And as we are reading, everybody please try to introspect. I know that I don't have any of these qualities. So if I'm talking about these, please don't think that I'm saying these things. I'm not any acharya, right? So acharya is somebody who teaches by their acharan. I don't have that acharan yet. So please forgive me. But all of us are just learning and reading together. But everybody introspect, including me. I will all introspect how much of these qualities we have and how much we need to work on it. You don't have to tell anybody, you just have to think within yourself how much enviousness I have, how much I'm able to forgive others, how much how kind I am to people, how friendly I am to people, how satisfied I am. All these things. You meditate on each quality within ourselves, but let's see what Krishna wants in his devotee and what pleases him. So let's start from 13 and 14. Okay, we'll read and follow 12.13 and 14. Adveshta sarvabhutanam
Adveshta
Adveshta
Sarvabhutanam
Sarvabhutanam
maitra karuna eva cha
Maitra
Maitra
Karuna
Karuna
Evacha
Evacha
nirmamo nirahankara
Nirmamo
Nirmamo
Nirahankaraha
samadukha sukha kshami
Samadukha
Samadukha
Mi
Sukakshami
santushta satatam yogi
Santushtah
Santushtam
Satatam
Satatam
Yogi
Yogi
yatatma dृढ़ निश्चय
Yatatma
Yatatma
Dridnishchayah
Nishchaya
मयि अर्पिता मनो बुद्धिर्
Maya
Mayarpita
Mayarpita
Arpita Mano
Manor
Buddhir
यो मद्भक्तः स मे प्रियः
Yo
Yomad
Madbhakta
Bhakta
Same
Same
Priyaha
Priya.
Very bold.
Hari
Okay,
Narayan.
so let's can somebody read the translation?
One
Uh,
who is not envious, but is a kind friend to all living entities, who does not think himself a proprietor,
Proprietor.
and is free from false ego, who is equal in both happiness and distress, who is tolerant, always satisfied, self-controlled, and engaged in devotional service with determination, his mind and intelligence fixed on me, such a devotee of mine is very dear to me. Haribol.
very bold. So many qualities Krishna mentioned here, right? So in the first verse, he mentioned almost 7 things. In the next one, about 4. And I shared Gaurang Darshan Prabhu's lecture with you. So he mentions, and in his he has some of you have his Bhagavad Gita Subodhini, right? That you follow. So he mentions that there are total about 31 to 32, about 31 qualities that Krishna has mentioned in these verses from 13 to 20. Okay, and some of these are primary. There is something called a primary quality and then secondary qualities. Okay, the primary qualities is basically the primary quality of this person, this devotee, is that he's completely devoted to Krishna. He's Ananya Bhakt. He's exclusively devoted, dedicated to Krishna, complete allegiance, and because he has the devotion to Krishna, he is cultivating this. The other qualities are secondary qualities, that these secondary qualities should be cultivated by somebody like us, like the first or second class devotees. They should try to cultivate these qualities in order to progress to that platform of Uttam Adhikari. So these are the qualities we have to cultivate. But the bottom line is to have devotion or dedication to Krishna, and then we start developing these qualities. These are important Vaishnava qualities, right? They make us Brahmanical, or put us in mode of goodness, basically, right? If one has these qualities. So what happens is, why should we develop these qualities? So there are various reasons, but the most important is that imagine if you have to sow a plant in a pot, right? You need really good soil for a plant to grow. So that fertile soil is needed for that plant to take up. So imagine we are trying to sow a very delicate plant of devotional service, Bhakti Lata Bija, right? It is a very delicate creeper for us right now. It is very, very small, very, very um, amenable to dangers of this material world. So at least we need to have very fertile soil, and these qualities are like that fertile soil in which the devotional service can grow like a plant. Okay, and also if we have these qualities, we attract the mercy and blessings of other Vaishnavas, of Guru Shastra and Guru Sadhu and Shastra. Right? We're trying to please Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra even before pleasing Krishna. So, yes, these qualities are very dear to Krishna, but we can also attract the blessings and mercy of other sadhus and gurus by developing these qualities in us. And we know that blessings and mercy is needed for us to progress on this path of bhakti, right? So many reasons why we need to have these qualities. They put us in mode of goodness, they are pleasing to Krishna, they attract the blessings of other Vaishnavas, they act like a fertile soil on which devotional service will advance better, right? These are the various reasons why we need to have these qualities. They actually, even before becoming a Vaishnava, they actually make us human, right? They actually make us human. Before becoming a Vaishnava, one has to become a human before becoming a devotee. So they actually put us in mode of goodness, so we become a better human, and then we can get to the platform of the highest platform of becoming a Vaishnava. Vaishnava is a very high platform. It is higher than even Brahman. So these Brahmanical qualities will help us to get to the level of at least raising ourselves from Shudra platform and coming into that Brahmanical nature, and then advance ourselves to Vaishnava platform, right? So let's talk just a little bit more about these qualities, and then we'll go forward. So not envious, right? The first quality Krishna says is adveshta, or non-envious, nirmatsar, right? In Bhagavatam, second verse, as soon as you open Bhagavatam, the second verse says that this religion or this dharma is practiced by those that are non-envious. Dharma projita ketavatra parama nirmatsaranam satam. That's the first line of that shloka. That this dharma is practiced by satam means devotee. Nirmatsaranam means non-envious devotees. So non-envious devotees can take to this path of devotional service towards Krishna, but one of the very big qualification is to be non-envious. So what does non-envious mean? Non-envious basically means to be not feeling jealous or envious of other people's, especially material achievements or material qualifications or material success, right? So, but for devotees, it not only refers to material things, or to just humans, it refers to all living entities. Because Krishna here is saying, Adveshta Sarva Bhutanam. Bhutanam means living entity. So he's not envious to any living entity. He's not envious to humans. He's not envious towards animals, right? He's not thinking, oh, they're lower species, so I can exploit them for my benefit. I can exploit and kill them and eat them, or I can make leather objects from them, or I can, make some, like basically mistreat them, exploit them is a type of envy, right? Even when a devotee uh, punishes or chastises, you can say, scolds anybody else, right? It is not out of envy, it is out of compassion, it is out of um, uh, love or empathy for that other person, right? Like Krishna chastised Arjuna, or Krishna killed all these demons. So is Krishna envious towards these demons when he killed them? No, right? Queen Kunti says many times that when you kill these demons, even that is done for their deliverance, for their liberation. It's like a parent chastises their child. They don't do that out of envy. They do that out of concern or love or empathy for them, right? So when a devotee, let's say, chastises anybody, or it's not out of envy, it's out of love or concern for others, right? So they're non-envious to all living entities in all situations. Like Yudhishthir Maharaj's example comes. Duryodhan was envious of Yudhishthir Maharaj, but Yudhishthir Maharaj was never envious of Duryodhan. Even despite all the atrocities he committed against him, he was never envious of him, right? Okay. And then, is that okay? Anybody wants to share any examples or any examples of envy from scriptures come to mind where somebody was envious of someone? So many examples there are. Did Lord Indra get envious when Govardhan was being worshipped instead of him, right? Actually, Lord Indra's example of envy comes many, many times, right? Can anybody give any other example? I can't see, I'm sorry. Yes, Vedant.
Krishna wanted to take that Parijat tree
Mhm.
for what which wife it was,
One of
but
his.
For
but in
Satyabhama. Satyabhama.
yeah, and Indra was like, "How can you do that? It's my tree." And then Krishna had to like teach him a lesson.
Yeah. Okay, Nirbhay Prabhu sharing.
Hare Krishna. I just was thinking about Shishupal. He was envious of Krishna directly, and he got delivered. Hare
Right.
Krishna.
Right. Yeah. So many examples actually. Indra's one of the other example coming to my mind was with Prithu Maharaj, right? He got envious when he was doing so many Ashwamedh Yagya that he stole that horse. So many other examples. So a devotee is not like that. Devotee is not envious of other person's success. He's actually a genuine well-wisher of all, right? And he wants other people also to become well-wishers of everybody else. So he's not only trying to make he's not only a well-wisher of others, he wants others to become a well-wisher of everybody too. That's why they're distributing Krishna consciousness, right? Keeping Krishna in center. Yes, Ravi Prabhu?
Yes, Mataji, just came to my mind, Hare Krishna. Even Indra was envious of Hiranyakashipu that his son will be again another Hiranyakashipu. He wanted to kill Prahlad in the womb. Am I right?
Yes, yes, right. So they kidnapped what is his
Mataji.
wife's Mataji? Yes, he kidnapped the Mataji. Navya remembers the name with K. I forgot.
Who's Kayadu?
Kayadu, yes, Kayadu.
Kayadu, yeah, Kayadu
Right?
Mataji ko he kidnapped.
Yes, and then Narad Muni came. What are you doing? This is a great devotee in the womb of Mother Kayadu. So he gave shelter to Mother Kayadu, took her away from demigods. Okay. Yes, so there is no place for envy in a devotee's heart, right? There is no competition, there is no comparison, no criticism of others. And they're just fully focused on Krishna so much that they don't worry about other people's they don't get envious of other people's achievements or successes and things. Okay, let's go to the next one. So you all cited good examples. Next one is Maitra. So Maitra is, so he said first thing is Adveshta Sarva Bhutanam. Next is Maitra. Maitra means friendly, right? So it is almost in the um, same tone as being non-envious. If you are not envious, if you're a well-wisher of others, Suhrid Sarva Bhutanam. Krishna is the supreme well-wisher of everybody, right? He says, Suhrid Sarva Bhutanam, right? So similarly, a devotee has the similar qualities as Krishna. So he also becomes Suhrid or well-wisher of other living entities. So he is friendly to them, Maitra. Karuna. Karuna means kind. Karuna means kind, right? So he's also kind. He's not, he's compassionate when other people are suffering or hurting. He's merciful towards them. He's kind towards them. He cannot, Vaishnavas are very compassionate. Vaishnav jante tene kahiye peed parai jane re, right? What is the next line? Dukh. Yes, Mataji, you.
Paradukhe, वैष्णव जन तो तेने कहिए पीर पराए ना पर दुखे उपकार सहे I think it's jealousy.
Yeah. So they are par dukha dukhi, right?
Dukh,
Par
yeah.
dukha dukhi, par sukha sukhi. If somebody is doing well, then they are happy. If they are suffering, if they are in distress, then they feel, um, uh, unhappy for them or empathy for them, compassion for them. So they try to help them. So in this regard, friendly and being kind, we have to understand that we talk about detachment, right? So don't confuse detachment with becoming hard-hearted. Okay, detach. A lot of people think that if your Bhagavad Gita is teaching you to become detached, that means to become hard-hearted. that you don't care if somebody lives or dies or suffering or sick or not doing well materially, right? It doesn't mean that at all. It just means that you are you are detached. You understand that these things are happening under the influence of the three modes of material nature or according to the person's karma, and all these things are part of being in the material world. So that way he's detached, but he's still very compassionate and kind um, to the people that are suffering. It doesn't mean that you become emotionless. No, actually, Krishna wants us to. Vaishnavas are full of emotion. They are full of, but they have right kind of emotions. Those emotions are well directed. They're not misdirected. So one of the example I'll give you, for example, this person came to Srila Raghunath Das Goswami, not Raghunath, Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj. This person came to Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj and he said, can I live in the temple, or can you give me sannyas or something like that full time? I want to, I think I'm very eligible, very qualified for sannyas, and can you impart that on me? So Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj said, okay, what are your eligibility or qualifications? Please tell me. He said, my wife died recently. We were married for about 30 years and she recently died, and I did not shed even a single tear. See how detached I am? I could not shed even a single tear. So Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj asked some more questions. Okay, how long were you married? How was your marriage? Was she serving you? Were you, having a loving, happy family? All this. So he said, okay, so this lady was your wife. She was serving you for 30 years. You had a loving, happy family. And when she died, you said you did not shed a single tear. He said, yes. Look how detached I am. I'm so strong. I'm sthit pragya. So Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj said, that is not sthit pragya. That is very, very hard-hearted. You're not eligible for sannyas at all. You have to be full of compassion. How would you develop attachment to Krishna when this wife of yours who served you for 30 years that you were living with, you do not have any compassion for her? You did not feel any separation from her at all. So that is not a quality to be proud of, that I cannot shed a single tear for anybody's suffering or sickness. Understanding that these things are part of the modes of material nature or part of being here, having acquired a body, these are part of sufferings are part of this body. That is detachment. And then praying to Krishna, surrendering to Krishna, that is detachment, but doesn't mean that we are completely unempathetic, completely dispassionate and immune, especially when it comes to other people's sufferings. No, that is not a quality of a Vaishnava. So they are par dukha dukhi. For sukha sukhi. They rejoice when other people are doing well, are achieving something, or in good health, or any kind of achievements of other people. They are happy, and they feel the distress or problems of other people when they're in problematic situations. So that is the mood of a Vaishnava or a devotee. They're kind. Okay. Is that okay? Okay. Then the next one is nirmamo nirahankara. We can take these together. Nirmamo nirahankara. Nirmamo, Krishna has used this word many times in Bhagavad Gita actually. Like in third chapter, I remember he said, Nirmamo nirasir bhutva yuddhyasva vigajvara. Knowing that you are not the lord of anything, fight for me. So nirmamo means no sense of proprietorship. So nirmamo means that no sense of proprietorship, that this is not mine. Nirmamo, not mine. Okay, no sense of proprietorship. And nirahankara, again, ahankara means false ego, right? So ahankara means having false ego, that I'm this body, and so everything related to this body is mine. That is, so they're both sort of go together, that anything related to this body, this property is mine, this land is mine, right? People fight so much over the property and houses and lands in India and everywhere. This wealth is mine, these children are mine, or this family member is mine. So that is the proprietorship, feeling of proprietorship. And on the other hand, a devotee thinks that these are all belonging to Krishna, that they're all uh, needed to be used in service of Krishna. Whether it's my body, whether it's my family, whether it's my house, whether it's my wealth, everything is in service of Krishna. So nirmamo nir ahankara, that they are without the sense of proprietorship. We have been given these things for this time, for this tenure in our body. When we are in this body, for this quota, we have been given things. But we are not truly the lord of these things. We have responsibility to take care of these things with proper mood, knowing that they're Krishna's. You cannot become careless or reckless. Oh, this is not mine, so I can just ignore it, right? This family, they are just only for this lifetime. So again, whenever we talk about the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, you cannot go from one extreme to other. You cannot say I'm so detached, I know that this body is not mine. This life is very temporary. So everything that is given to me in this life, I can just be careless about it. No, this has been given to you in this life to take care of. You've been assigned the responsibility, like for example, your children to take care of. It is your duty to deliver them. Your house, your wealth, your profession, your property has been given to you for this tenure. So you have to be responsible towards it. You have to take care of it. But knowing that this is temporary and for this time, I'm going to be very responsible. Yes, Mataji, Sheetal Mati, are you sharing something?
Just with this context to what we just discussed was your that bhajan, that second line, Vaishnav jan to tenne kahiye, पीर पराय जाने दे, पर दुखे उपकार करे तो मन अभिमान ना करे.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
So
That's
free
perfect.
from false ego.
Maybe we have never sung this song.
Yes, Mataji, I was just thinking we should sing this bhajan, so apt to this shlokas that we are
Yeah.
discussing.
Yeah, that used to be actually Mahatma Gandhi's favorite
Yes.
bhajans to sing. So
Yeah.
yes, would you like to sing Mataji one time?
Sure,
This song?
Mataji.
Yeah, it is in
Yes.
Gujarati. Huh?
Gujarati. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. So yeah, so that is the quality of a devotee. No sense of proprietorship, just responsibly taking care of things, right? um, it's like imagine that you know that you are going to retire from the job, right? We know that we are going to retire. Does that mean we become reckless or careless about our job today? No, we still we give our best, right? When we go to the job, we do our best, even though we know that that job is not forever. At 60 or 50 or whenever we will retire from it, but still when you go there, you do your best at the job. That you will not be a student forever. So you think, oh, my relationship with this teacher is only for this class. Next class, I'll get a different teacher. So I can be, can I be disrespectful to this teacher? No, no. Even then, for that duration, she's your teacher. So you should have the proper mood and proper respect. You follow her instructions. You know that she will not be there forever for you. But for that year, when she's your teacher, you're still respectful. You're still following her instructions, learning from her, submitting to her, right? All those things. Similarly, in life also, yes, this life, we have been given certain things, certain people, certain properties that we have control of, that we should responsibly manage for that tenure of our life. Okay? And a proper service attitude, not lordship attitude, servitude attitude, right? And nirankar we already did that. So the biggest ahankar is to think that one is this body, because all the other ahankar, all the other pride, arrogance, whatever ahankar comes from this notion that I'm this body. Because I think, oh, I am doing this, I am the doer, I am this body, I made this happen. These are my achievements, this is my property, my wealth, right? So thinking that I'm this body brings all the other secondary ahankaras. The biggest ahankar is to think that I'm this body. So that is why when something good happens with us, we become puffed up. Oh, we did this, oh, this is my superiority complex, I am this. And then when something bad happens with us, like somebody, like you go into infamy for something, whatever bad happens, then you get all dejected, all inferiority feeling. Even feeling inferiority complex is like a type of ahankar, thinking that I'm this body, right? Thinking that I'm the doer. Since I did this, I could not do this. That is why I'm feeling low and dejected, right? So both ways it goes. So the biggest ahankar is, or biggest false ego is to think that I'm this body, and then all the other prides, arrogances, ahankar come from that feeling. Does anyone want to share on this, or? Okay, we'll keep going. And then we know this one, sama dukkha sukha, right? That he is equipoised in all situations, both sukha and dukkha. Can anybody recite a verse in the same tone? Yes, Avni.
No, go ahead.
Matrasparshasthu kaunteya shitoshna sukhadukkada agamapaino nityastam stitikshashva bharata.
Very bold. Sheetal Mataji was also reciting.
माता जी एक ही आता है, हाँ उतना आता है.
Mataji, you recite again, please. You were reciting nicely.
हरे कृष्ण.
एक आ गया तो फिर और भी आ जाएंगे.
हाँ वो माता जी पिछले बार डी लैंड में गए थे ना, तभी रिसाइट किया था वहाँ पे रिकॉर्ड करके. फेवरेट वर्सेस कर लेते हैं, मुझे अच्छा लगता है वर्स.
Please recite. We'll chant up. This is the best verse to recite.
हरे कृष्णा. मात्र स्पर्शस्तु कौन्तेय शीतोष्ण सुख दुःखदा आगमपायनो नित्यास्तां सतिति तक्षस्व भारत.
Mataji, we're going to recite after you. Please say one line at a time.
Okay. मात्र स्पर्शस्तु कौन्तेय
मात्रा स्पर्शस्तु कौन्तेय
Astu Kaunteya
उष्ण सुख दुःखदा
Shitoshna Sukha Dukkha
आगमपायनो नित्यास्
Agamapaino
Agamapaino
Nityas
तां सतिति तक्षस्व भारत.
Tam Titikshasva Bharata.
Can you read the translation, please?
It's chapter 2, shlok 14. Shri Krishna says, O son of Kunti, the non-permanent appearance of happiness and distress and their disappearance in the due course are like the appearance and disappearance of winter and summer seasons. They arise from sense perception, O scion of Bharata, and one must learn to tolerate them without being disturbed. Haribol.
Haribol. So this is the verse that nicely explains this point of Sama Sukha Dukkha, that he's equanimous in both happiness and distress. Why? Because he knows that both of them are temporary, the non-permanent appearance of happiness and distress. Just like the seasons come and go, just like the winter and summer will come and go, so will the happiness and distress come and go. Just like distress came without trying too hard, right? Happiness will also come without trying too hard. So we don't have to endeavor too much for happiness. It will come in due course of time, just like the seasons come. So we just learn to tolerate them like the seasons. So, so that is our goal, to try to, right now we are very affected by happiness and distress, or these dualities, right? But knowing, remember that our highest goal is to get back to Krishna, and Krishna, these qualities are very pleasing to Krishna. So next time when a struggling situation comes, knowing that this will please Krishna, we'll try to tolerate it, right? We'll try to transcend this this plane where we get so dejected when there is suffering or struggles, and feel out of the, feel amazing, feel when the happiness comes. So just trying to understand that both are temporary, and we'll just try to tolerate them like a season. Okay, so next word is sama sukha dukkha. The next one is Kshami. So Kshami means forgiving. So a devotee, the first class devotee, the Uttam Adhikari, is also very forgiving to others, right? So one can tolerate, so that kind of devotee will tolerate the offenses done to them. It doesn't mean that we should do any offenses to others, but when the offenses are done to us, when somebody criticizes you, finds fault in you, offends you by body, mind, or words, right? Then this person is very forgiving. We do we do offenses or crimes with our body, mind, and words. Okay, three things with which we commit crimes or offenses. So this Uttam Adhikaris forgiving to all of those. Okay. So now forgiving does not mean that, so somebody will say, oh, forgiving means that we cannot assert ourselves, we cannot correct anybody. No, it doesn't mean that. What it means is you internally forgive that person. Externally, on a material plane, you may have to correct other person. Okay. So, and it depends on many different things. There is actually His Grace Visheshika Prabhu has full lecture on forgiveness. What does it mean? What does actually forgiveness means, right? So what happens in material world is we say to people that we forgive you, but internally we never forgive them. Internally we hold grudge against them. Externally we might say that we forgive you. Externally we may maintain relationship with them, but internally we hold grudges, right? So true forgiveness means to internally have no grudges and to understand that these offenses, these things that are being done are because of the three modes of material nature. That person is bound by these chains of passion, ignorance, and goodness, and that is where those crimes are coming from. So internally, you don't hold any grudges. Externally, depending on your relationship with that person, depending on the amount of the offense, depending on the repetition of the offense, you may have to give them punishment or chastise them or something. So depending on, for example, a parent will chastise their child, right? Because there is that relationship where the parent will chastise the child, right? And child understands that my parent has to scold me. It is not a crime. So, but when child does something wrong, the parent has the authority to assert themselves and fix them. Now, if there is somebody walking on the street, right, and they do some offense against you, you may have to, if it was just one time thing, just something very small, you may have to just tolerate it and let it be, right? But if it is something repetitive, then even though you are not related to that person, you may have to correct them, right? Or you may even have to report them to the proper authorities and get them punished. So forgiveness is basically, when Krishna says kshami or forgiveness, it is more internal thing that he's talking about. It does not mean that we tolerate nonsenses in the society. It does not mean that we don't assert ourselves or raise our voice against crimes being committed. It does not mean that at all. It doesn't mean that you forgive very heinous crimes being committed. No, you may have to stop those crimes in the society. So it is your responsibility to raise your voice, to report those to proper authority. But internally, you understand, you don't hold grudges. You understand that this is the, again, the nature of this material world, that people will always act according to the modes of ignorance, like tamogun and rajogun, right? That's where all these offenses and crimes are coming from, right? So externally you may have to take action, but internally you may have to, internally you should be forgiving. Yes, Sheetal Mataji, were you sharing something?
Hare Krishna Mataji. I was just reminded there was one lecture I heard of His Holiness Radhanath Swami about women and devotion, and in that he spoke about there was a it's a real life story about Sindhutai Sapkale.
Yes, yes, I heard that.
Yes, and she went through a lot of she runs an orphanage, and she's, I think, the recipient of Padma Shri for 2021 for her social work, and she went through a lot of difficulties, and by her own family. I think it was her own husband, and how she overcame all those adversities. I think she had seen a tree or something which gave her some hope when she was going through that adversities. Was it that? No? Ravi Prabhu
See,
Singh, no.
the cow, she gave a birth in the Goshala and the
Mm.
cow protected her. So she thought that if the cow can protect me, I have more intelligence than the cow, so I'll protect you. And then at the later on, even her husband came to that orphanage and he treated him
Correct,
like
correct. Yes, yes. And that was the point, like the forgiveness, like she went through a lot because of her husband, but like, she ended up forgiving him. And even when he got sick, she gave shelter to him in his orphanage and said that I'm taking care of so many kids. He's like my kid now, and I will take care of him.
Yes, Mataji, very, very nice. Yes, I heard that story too. It is amazing, her life story. But yes, so those qualities of, forgiveness, understanding that and remember we did that seminar on failure as a stepping stone to success. Her story actually reflects that completely. Failure as a stepping stone to success. She was completely materially impoverished, right? She was a kinchan like Shabri, completely a kinchan. But when you have full faith in Krishna, you understand that there is a supreme authority, supreme power that has brought me here for a purpose, and I have to just commit my life to His purpose and not worry about these things, small things that happen around us. Then one can transcend these material things and can become more forgiving, like she did, right? So, very, very appropriate story, Mataji. Thank you for sharing. Okay, we'll try to do this next one also. Santushta. So we read this one. Santushta means completely satisfied, right? Again, so this is a person who's very self-satisfied, meaning their desires are very much under control. Now, this reminds me of another verse from chapter 2, where Krishna said that there are people that these desires are like rivers that keep coming to the sea, right? So many desires will come, so many thoughts will come in a day, in a few seconds. Our mind runs through so many thoughts, right? But the one who can control those desires, who can discriminate which desires I should focus on and which desires I should ignore, that person will be self-satisfied. So he says, um, आपूर्यमानम् अचलं प्रतिष्ठं समुद्रमापं प्रविशन्ति यद्वत् तद्वत् कामायं प्रविशन्ति सर्वे स शान्तिमाप्नोति न कामकामी. So he says that apuryamanam achalam pratishtam, that's just like rivers enter into a sea, right? So many desires enter into our heart. Samudram apam pravishanti yadvat, just like rivers enter into the samudra or the ocean. Tadvat kama pravishanti sarve, that in everybody's heart so many desires come every day. But who achieves shanti? Sa shanti mapnoti na kama kami. The one who responds to all those desires will not get satisfaction or shanti. The one who will control those desires, discriminate and remember and realize which are favorable in my Krishna consciousness and which are unfavorable in my Krishna consciousness. One has that discrimination and control those desires, then that person will be self-satisfied. So santushti comes from being from controlling those desires. Like every day, if we start responding to all the desires, oh, I want to buy this, I want to get this, I want to have a bigger home, I want to do this in my profession, I also want these clothes. If you start responding to everything, right now, let's say I start thinking, start meditating upon, oh, I want to eat gulab jamun, right? And then I start responding to that desire. There is no gulab jamun available in Jackson. Now let me go to Memphis. So in this, fulfilling this desire, I'm running around everywhere. And let's say that desire does not get fulfilled. What will happen to me? I'll feel frustrated. I will feel angry. I'll feel irritable. I'll feel very annoyed, right? Because my desire did not get fulfilled, right? Because I focused on it so much. But this was a very frivolous desire. I should have let it go, right? So knowing that this desire is very frivolous, it is not very important in the big picture of things. It is not very congenial to my time today. It will ruin my day. It will spoil my time with my family, running around here and there looking for gulab jamun. So I'm just giving a frivolous example, but we have so many desires like this, right? So, so so I'll use my intelligence, my discrimination, that this desire is completely frivolous. Let it go, right? Don't focus on it. Don't try to fulfill it. Fulfill the bigger, better desires. Okay. Now, if a desire come into me like a spiritual desire that I want to read Bhagavatam today, huh? Okay, let's try to fulfill that desire, because that will give a sense of great satisfaction. It will be spiritually very nourishing, fulfilling. You will get association of devotees. You'll be hearing Hari Katha. Let's try to nourish that one. Hmm? So in this way, let some frivolous uh, uh, things that will waste your time, that will spoil your day, just ruin your peace of mind, let those go, right? That person will be santushta, self-satisfied. There are other meanings of santushta also, like a person who's non-envious, who's not competitive with others, who's not comparing himself with others. Competition, comparison, complaining, right? Um, there are like 4 C's that I can't remember them. Competition, comparison, complaining, and one more. So those also destroy our self-satisfaction. So don't compare yourself to others. Don't be in competition with others. Don't try to uh, what did I say? Competition, comparison,
Comparison.
yeah, so those
Complain.
complaining, yes, and criticism, 4 C's. Those things also destroy our self-satisfaction. So all those things that if we don't give in to these things, these habits of complaining, criticizing, all these things, and giving into all our desires, giving into competing with others all the time, comparing with others, then we'll be satisfied. Satatam Yogi. Satatam Yogi means the one who is always engaged in my devotional service. So we know that Satatam Yogi, Ananyas Chintanto Mam, Tesham Satam, Satatam Kirtayanto Mam. Right? So many times Krishna says that always be engaged in my devotional service, always engage your mind in me. Satatam Yogi. Yatatma Drida Nishchaya. Let's take this one. Yatatma is self-controlled. So we sort of talked about some of these things will be repetitive, so we don't have to do everything twice. Yatatma means self-controlled. Again, we are controlling our desires, controlling our senses, have a control on our anger, speech, right? How many types of Vegas should we control? Who will answer? Yes, Ravi Prabhu.
I don't know if I can say all, but yes, man vega, jiva vega, udar vega, and the genitals vega, and
Speech.
yeah, I think the speech vega. Yeah, the jiva से दो हो गया, खाने का और बोलने का.
So the verse that goes with this is Rup Goswami's Nectar of Instruction or Updeshamrit, right? The first verse he says is one should control these things, 6 things. Okay? He in Nectar of Instruction there are always 6 things. So the first verse says 6 things. Vacho vegam, manasa krodha vegam, jiva vegam, udar upastha vegam. So vacho vegam means speech, manasa means mind, vacho vegam, manasa, jiva vegam, uh, Vacho vegam, manasa, krodha vegam, sorry, jiva vegam, udar, upastha vegam. So jiva means controlling your tongue. What we are eating, udar means how much we are eating, upast means controlling our genitalia. 6 things, okay? Etan vegan yo vishehedira sarvam apimam prithvim sashishayat. That whoever can control these 6 urges can make disciples all over the world, like Prabhupada. Okay, so whoever can control these 6 urges can make disciples all over the world. So self-control, right? And since our body, we are embodied souls, we have to control various urges of our body, of our senses, right? Mind, anger, and all these other senses. So there are 10, we have talked about 10 senses, 5 working, 5 knowledge senses. All those should be controlled, right? Subtle body, gross body. I won't go into details of this, but we've discussed that in the past. Drida Nishchaya. So Dhrida Nishchaya means somebody who's very determined, right? That is also mentioned actually in, let's see if Nirbhay Prabhu knows. Nirbhay Prabhu, you remember the Rup Goswami's Updeshamrit, this verse where he says that one should be determined, Nishchay. You're on mute.
Hare Krishna. The Vachavega one or
No,
Nishchayad
no,
Dharyad?
yes.
Utsaha Nishchayad Dharyad.
Tat tat
Can't remember.
tat tat karma
Tat
pravartana.
tat karma pravartate.
Pravartana. Okay, let me open this on because this is very, very, I mean,
Yeah, I will
one day we have
revise
to
it
read
for a long
Nectar of
time.
Instruction. Yeah. So उत्साह निश्चयाद्धैर्यात् तत्तत् कर्म प्रवर्तनात् sato let me see. Mm,
Is it that
Sato vritte,
giving and taking gifts? That one?
Utsaha means excitement, Nishchay means determination, Dhairya means patience, Utsahan Nishchay Dharya, Tat Tat Karma Pravartanat, following in the footsteps of the Acharyas. Um, yeah. उत्साहं
Last is Shadbir.
निश्चयाद्धैर्यात् तत्तत् कर्म प्रवर्तनात् संगत्यागत सतो वृत्ते Shadbir Bhakti Prasidyati. So with these, the bhakti flourishes. With these, the devotional service becomes successful. With these Shadbir, always there are six things. In Updeshamrita, there are always six things. One, Utsah. So like yesterday, all the devotees were very excited with Utsah, great excitement. Everybody was distributing books, right? That is Utsah. So we should not get, when spiritual activities, when Krishna conscious activities comes, you should be Utsah. Okay, Utsaha. Nishchay, determined that we will make this happen. We'll do it. We'll make this happen. Devotional services, sometimes we say it's easy, but we know that when we practice, it can be hard. So you have to be determined. So this is what Krishna is talking about, Dridvrata. With Drid Nishchay, you have to. And Dridvrata word is also used by Krishna in many verses of Bhagavad Gita because he knows that we need a lot of determination. In material endeavors, we need a lot of determination. So, what to speak of spiritual endeavors? Because spiritual things happen on a very subtle platform, right? We cannot see strong results, transformations happening in a very perceptible way. We cannot see them happening like we see the material things happening, right? It is very difficult for us to perceive Krishna. It is very difficult for us to be in association of Guru or devotees all the time. So, even more determination is needed in spiritual endeavors. So we have to be dridvata, nishchay, and we have to have patience. If you don't see results within a few days of chanting, you shouldn't get impatient. It takes many years, right, before the results will come, before the transformation will happen, because before the heart will change, right? So be dhairyat, be patient. Tat tat karma pravartanat means that doing things according to the that are favorable for devotional service. Sanga Tyagat means giving up the association of non-devotees or giving up material attachments. Sato Vritte, following in the footsteps of the Acharya. With these six things, the bhakti develops or flourishes. Shadbir Bhakti Prasidyati. Okay. So I just wanted to share about determination. So everybody be determined, even if you don't see results, as long as you know the goal, right? Let's stick to our path. And we have heard the famous saying that if your why is important, then the how can happen easily, right? So stay determined. Yes, Ravi Prabhu and Sheetal Mataji are sharing something. Yes, Prabhuji, let's start.
I think Avni first.
Yes, Abhi.
For how it says that in devotional service you have to be determined, does that go with the shloka Vyavasayatmika Buddhir?
Yes. Can you recite that, please? Yes. Perfect.
Vyavasayatmika Buddhir Ekeha Kurunandana Bahushaka Hyanantascha Buddhaya Vyavasayinam.
Very bold. Yes.
Hari bol.
Vyavasyatmika buddhi. So second chapter verses are coming back again, right? So Vyavasyatmika buddhi means somebody who has a business-minded intelligence. Like a businessman wants to make profit. He's very determined to make profits. He will try everything, different things to make profits. Similarly, in spiritual path also we should have business-minded intelligence. Vyavasyatmika buddhi. I will make profit on this path also. So this is where all the business-minded intelligence should be used. This is where I want to make profit because this profit will be eternal. This will be added to my eternal spiritual credit, right? Very good. Beautiful. Okay. Is Vaidehi or Ravi Prabhu sharing?
No, Mataji, just sharing from my experience, the determination that we are talking, Drid Nishchay, is needed in every step of the life. Like even when you start the day, even just to wake up, you need the determination. Otherwise, you will be in the bed. And like Murli Prabhu and I discussed last night, the same thing. Like making habits. If we wanna make any habit, determination is the one. You don't need 21 days, don't need 40 days, because now I think the new research is coming up. They're saying 90 days are required to make a habit. Then Murli Prabhu say 1 day is required if you have determination. And I agree with him, because there's a determination, 1 day you can make a habit. So anywhere, whether you are waking up from the bed or going For exercise or reading the Gita or doing anything, you have to have determination. Without determination and utsah, motivation, nothing will happen.
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes, perfect. Yeah, we need determination for everything. So these are the things, especially if it is spiritual path, right? We should stay very, very determined, patient, and excited. Stay excited. Don't become udasin. Udasin word will come later. Don't become. Uh, stay excited. Stay in mode of goodness, but passionate about it. I want to make this happen. Okay, so I think this verse we're coming to an end. Mai Arpita. So then Krishna says, so this kind of devotee who has devoted his mind and intelligence to me, who has given his mind and intelligence to me, that is so such a devotee who has given his mind and intelligence to me is very priya, very dear to me. So which devotee is that? The one who is non-envious to all living entities, friendly, kind, no sense of proprietorship, without false ego, equal in happiness and distress, forgiving, satisfied, and always engaged in my devotional service, self-controlled and determined. So many qualities. So Krishna has mentioned about 11 qualities, right? And then we come back to the same thing, that you submit your intelligence and mind to me, right? He says this, Mai Arpita Mano Buddhir, in 8th chapter that you all just finished reading, right? Tasmat Sarveshu Kaleshu Ma Manusmara Yudhyascha Mai Arpita Mano Buddhir Mam Avashyasi Asamshaya. That 8.7, right? We've written that how you would come to me. He says, in all times, Tasmat Sarveshu Kaleshu Ma that in all times remember me and fight. Ma manusmara yudhyascha. So for us it means that in all times you do service for me, you work for me. My anusmara yudhyascha. So we are also fighting a fight here, right? We are also living in this material world, engaged in a battle with material world, with Maya. And my arpita mano buddhir, and give your intelligence and mind to me. So somebody whose mind and intelligence is submitted to Krishna, this fight, this yudh that Arjuna was fighting on the battlefield and we are fighting here in this material world becomes easy. And that devotee is very dear to me. Right? Okay. I think we can quickly read maybe just two more. They are quick ones and they are on similar lines. There is a lot of repetition, so we don't have to spend too much time. Let's read 12.15 very quick. Yasmanno dvijate loko
Yasmano
Yasmano
Videlo
dvijate
Loko,
loko
lokanno dvijate chaya
lokano
lokano
dvijate cha
dvijate
yaha,
harsh harshamarshā bhayodvegair
harsha smarsha
harsha
bhayadveke,
bhayodvegir
mukto yasa cha me priya.
mukto
mukto
yah sacha
yasa
me
cha me priya.
priyaha.
Can anyone read this?
He by whom no one is put into difficulty, and who is not disturbed by anyone, who is equipoised in happiness and distress, fear and anxiety, is very dear to me.
Devote. So I think pretty much similar things, but this is very nice point. Somebody who does not put other into difficulty and who is not disturbed by anyone, meaning that he does not agitate others and he's not agitated by others, right? He does not put others into difficulty and he's not disturbed when others put him into difficulty, right? So that comes again to the point, to all those other points we discussed, that how one has to understand that how one has to stay detached or has material detachment. So we understand that all these things that happen here, if somebody is putting us into difficulty, it's it's part of our karmic reactions, part of the three modes of material nature, that things are happening. But our responsibility is to not put others into difficulty. So we tolerate more, be more forgiving, right? Be more compassionate, and don't, with our body, mind, or and words, don't put others into difficult situations or agitate others, right? This also goes back to that verse. Actually, not goes back. This is a verse from 17th chapter, which will be a learning verse. 17.15. Anudveg karam vacho, that your karma, your mind, body, actions, words, everything should be very pleasant. They should not agitate others, right? We should not agitate others with our actions, with our words, with our body, or with anything, right? So anudveg karambacho, that verse 17.15, very important verse. But for example, when we go out, like we see with the we meet all kinds of people, like when we do book distribution, right? People that are not interested in this at all. Some people are interested in looking at the book. Some people are not interested even in prashadam. Some people are not even interested in looking at you, and they'll just go away. Either way, there are different kinds of people. And then some people are completely maybe atheistic or of different faiths, may not be atheistic, but different faiths. So we do, these kind of activities help us to develop this kind of mood that one should not be agitated. Some people, I mean, this is a nice crowd because we go outside the grocery store, but sometimes if you go completely outside somewhere, right, you're standing on the road, people may even actually say nonsense things to you. People may even actually say bad words to you, right? So, but we have to be careful that we are not agitating others. We are never giving bad impression of devotees. We are never, we are trying to become Vaishnavas, which is the highest class of human beings, highest, topmost consciousness. Humans are divided into various classes, many. Actually, there are hundreds and thousands of classes humans are divided into based on their consciousness, right? So if we are trying to develop the topmost consciousness, the Krishna consciousness, we may come across humans that have the lowest consciousness, like that of a Chandala or somebody, right? So if those people are hurling abuses or something at you, understand that their consciousness is not very elevated or advanced yet, right? It has not been trained yet. It has not been nourished yet. So we are nourishing our consciousness. So it is up to us to behave nicely and not agitate others with our mind or with our words and actions, right? Forget about with our body, because we will not will not do any physical harm, but not even with our gestures or actions or with our words also. So these kind of activities, book distribution, these are actually a little bit of training to cultivate tolerance, forgiveness, and to test our consciousness whether we are at that platform of Vaishnava yet or not, right? We'll see if we get agitated by others or not. So that is that. Then Harsha Marsha, we already talked about this. Harsha Marsha means in happiness and distress. And Avni recited the nice verse. Mataji recited very nice verse in this regard. This next point, let's talk about this. Bhayo udvega. Bhaya means fear. Udvega means anxiety. Okay. So fear and anxiety. We are all fearful all times. We are all anxious all the time, right? That is something that has become very prominent as the Kali Yuga progresses. People are developing so much mental illness just because they're so fearful of the future, so anxious about the future, right? So Bhaya and Udveg is developing more and more. And we are actually nourishing this fear and anxiety all the time. I remember one of Sadhguru's quotes. He says that if you are going to show your mind anything, why not show a nice picture? Why are you showing it a horror picture, right? So for example, we're thinking about future. We always imagine bad things. We always think, oh, what if this my this family member dies, or what if I lose this property, what if I fail in this exam, what if I this person dishonors me. We are always making these horror movies in our head about future, and actually that is not the real future at all. This is just we are making our mind anxious and fearful, right? So that is not a truth at all. So he said, why not show it a pleasant, nice movie? Why create all these horror movies in your head? It is not reality. It is just in your head. It is an illusion. So a devotee is not fearful or anxious like that. And the reason is that they are surrendered to Krishna, right? So they know that Krishna will take care. They know Rakshi Shaiti iti Vishwaso. This is one of the symptoms of surrender. There are 6 symptoms of surrender. One is, let me show it on the screen. But one of the symptoms is that, so here, 6 symptoms of surrender. Anukulyasya sankalpa, doing only that which is favorable for bhakti. Pratikulyasya varjanam, rejecting other things that are unfavorable for bhakti. Rakshi shaiti iti vishwaso, having faith that Bhagwan is my protector, Krishna is my protector. Goptritve varjanam, accepting Bhagwan as the only maintainer. Atma nikshepa, complete submission to Krishna, complete surrender. Karpanya, feeling humble, like feeling like a insignificant, wretched, destitute person in front of Krishna, complete surrender. So these are the symptoms. But one of the symptoms is Rakshi Shaiti iti Vishwaso, that the devotee has this Vishwas, this faith that Krishna will protect me. So that is why they are fearless. They are always focused on the lotus feet of Krishna and they remain free of anxiety and fear. Abhaya Charanar Vindare. Bhaj Hore Mana Sri Nandanandana Abhaya Charanar Vindare. So the song says that Bhaj Hore Man, that oh my mind, just chant the names of Krishna. Bhaj Hore Man, Sri Nandanandan, chant the names of Nandanandan. Abhaya Charana Ravindare, whose surrender to whose lotus feet will make you fearless, because our mind is creating all this fear and anxiety. So we can either show it the horror movies, this will happen, that will happen, or surrender completely to Krishna by chanting Bhaj Hure Man. Chant with your mind. That's what Krishna wants. Chant Bhaj Hure Man. Right? So chanting will make us fearless, so that all those anxieties and fears that come, that we imagine, that we have created in our head, will go away. Okay, would anyone like to share?
No, Mataji, with the same quotation, the thing that you said from Sadhguru, he also, that I have heard that, why the mind is always thinking negative, because this is how it has been conditioned. Like the human have evolved lately, but before that used to always been like surrounded by a lot of danger. So the mind was always ready to protect. So always we think negative and we always have a flight and the fight response. But that's how the bhakti helps us. As you just said, if we believe and trust and have faith in Krishna that he is the protector, then we can condition mind again to think positive and get away from all this bhai and anxiety. Hari bol.
Hari Bol, yes, Prabhuji. Who remembers that verse from 9th chapter that say where Krishna promises, I'll carry what you lack and preserve what you have? Can somebody recite? Yes, Agni, go ahead. Agni seemed very doubtful. I know you know this.
9.22, I think, Ananyashchintayanto mam yejana paripashyate esham nityabhiyuktanam yogaksheham vahamyaham.
Yes, very nice. Can you please tell the translation or the paraphrase the translation, the meaning?
Oh, the only way I remember that shloka is like I preserve what you have and carry what you lack.
Yeah, but who does he carry what they lack and preserve what they have? What is the meaning of the first line? And
Navya wants to say.
Yeah, we'll let
okay,
Navya say.
Navya, go ahead.
So Krishna is saying that if you're my devotee, then I carry what you lack and preserve what you have.
Yeah, Ananyas Chintayanto Mam, with exclusive devotion, the one who's submitted to me, right? Who worships me. Ye Jana Paryupasate, those who worship me. To those. So not to anybody, but if you're surrendered to me, that is why I showed those 6 symptoms of surrender. To those that are surrendered to me, I carry what they lack and preserve what they have. So then there is what is the reason for fear or anxiety, right? He will carry everything. He'll preserve everything that we have. So to think that something will be lost, or somebody, our health or our wealth or our family members or our property or anything, right? Even if anything like that happens, it is part of Krishna's plan because I have surrendered myself to Krishna. So it's up to him to do whatever he wants. So like Prabhupada said, right? Nachao, nachao, nachao remate, right? That, oh Lord, make me your puppet and make me dance, make me dance, make me dance. Okay. So Just like that, we become a puppet in the hands of Krishna. So even if something doesn't happen as we wanted, no reason to be fearful or anxious of it. It's just part of his plans. Okay, very nicely shared, Agni and Navya. Thank you. Okay, shall we stop here and chant? Bhajure Manha. Let's everybody chant together one round.
स्वरूपेश्च कृष्णस्वरूपैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः गुरुवे गौरचन्द्राय राधिकाय तदालये कृष्णाय कृष्णभक्ताय तद्भक्ताय नमो नमः हरे
नमो नमः
श्रीमद् भगवद गीता की
जय
श्रील प्रभुपाद की
जय
संवेद गौर भक्तवृंद की जय
जय
हरि बोल।